Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Alan Moore Designs podcast show. This week we have someone special on, which is my partner in crime for 34 fucking years. Anyway, what can I say? Pop a plug. There she is. It's Jennifer. Hey, Jen, how you doing?
Hey.
You are now, let's see, you're on your second knee replacement surgery in 1 year, right? And we're just coming up with, what is it, Tuesday or Wednesday? That's 3 weeks post-op.
Wednesday will be 3 weeks post-op.
Wednesday will be 3 weeks. Isn't that something? She's what we call the bionic woman. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We can rebuild her. That's right. That's it. Anyway, fuck this shit. Fuck shit. Gotta get it all out in the beginning. Here we go. I'm saying it for you, sweetheart. I'm saying it for you. Anyway, this time out, we're doing something special that we didn't really have the opportunity to do last time, which is we have new products. I know, everyone's going, he's pitching products on using his wife, and she's in a surgical, and you're an asshole. Well, listen, I was born and raised in Jersey, so, it comes with the territory. But anyway, no. We have products this year that we didn't have last year when she was going through all this, or she would refuse to use. We do make these things.
I'm stubborn.
You're supposed to use these things. But anyway, so why don't we get started and we'll break everything down since you are 3 weeks post-op. First, tell everybody what you're experiencing and how we're addressing it.
Well, this year's surgery was a lot harder than last year's. That one's, straight up.
That's because you wiggle.
But anyway, Alan built me this box. Shut up. So he built me this box, and it, for the most part, it looks like a QB, and it somewhat is. But see the little wire here? And then we've got these little electrode pads.
Such a cool box.
What's that?
That is such a cool box.
Yes, it is. So just peel these off because I've been using these, so they've got dog hair all over them. So anyway, standalone box, and I just set that off to the side. And I've been taking these pads, and I've been putting them at the top and bottom of my scar, which is 11 inches.
In the surgical site, right?
Right, which is 11 inches long. Mm-hmm. So one on top, one on the bottom, and that's stimulating where the muscles are connecting into the joint.
Let me give a little background on it first and foremost.
Sure.
First off, those wire leads that she's holding with the EKG pads is they're actually bonded to the ground plane inside the box. So what's happening is that inside the box where we have our ceramic, okay, it's basically like an infinite ground. So all it does is it's just a conductive filter. So what happens is that she'll go and flank the surgical site, right, top of the scar, bottom of the scar. And what it forces is that collagen between the two pads will be kind of like overstimulated. So the idea is, how can we get skin to repair itself at a faster rate than it normally would? As one of my surgicals will tell me, skin takes about 14 days to actually gel and fuse. And when we use the box, it can go anywhere from 9 to 10 days to do the same thing that a normal non-filtered individual can do in 14. So it's all about speeding up the process. But there's other things involved too. So when you have a surgery like this, and they go and they tear you open and they replace your knee and they put the stuff in, you have to assume that once they go in there, a lot of shit's got to get moved around. So your nerve endings are pissed off, your muscles are pissed off, and other things have to also be repaired because they've been mucked with. And some of the hardest things they'll tell you, I'll tell you from my surgery when I had to go reattach the bicep. The nerve endings in a normal situation, the doctor told me it could take up to a year if the nerves came back. If, it's that quote unquote thing, right? And that was a scary thing for me personally, because my arm was nothing but just a dead meat. I couldn't feel anything from my elbow all the way into my thumb. I couldn't feel shit. And I had to learn how to go and use products like the Pocket Ground, right? And to kind of re-stimulate the nerve endings. And here I was for like 4 or 5 months, just dead meat, couldn't do nothing, trying to follow what the doctor was telling me because, the pocket ground, that can't possibly work. But anyway, one day I just said, fuck it. I was sitting down and I just started to put it there and just, you leave it there for 20 minutes, you slide it down an eighth of an inch for 20 minutes. You just do this, for a couple of weeks. All of a sudden, my nerve endings started to fire back. And within 2 weeks, I was able to get full sensation in my arm. There was a tinge of numbness, which took another month or so to get rid of. But within 6 months, I had full feeling back in my arm. Now, this one here, which is kind of cool, is that this year we have the grounded sheet, which I didn't have during her first surgery.
which I
And
love.
what we're doing with this one here is a lot of folks have known because you've been watching the podcast is that I'm testing out a new tourmaline infused sheet. And the way that I have it wired is I have two tabs going back to the grounding box, but I'm also bonding to the wall as well. So you're kind of getting that tech ground kind of effect with it. And within, all right, like I said, Wednesday, you're 3 weeks post-op. How long did it take before you started to feel the nerves firing off?
Ooh, probably after about a week of sleeping on the sheet,
Right. Now, like the
and it
first week, I'll
felt
tell you
like
right now,
light shooting through my leg.
yeah. Now the first week, I'll be honest with you, I didn't have you bonded to the wall, only because they brought the CMP, device there to stretch the joint, and I wasn't really sure how I felt about having an electrical appliance on top of the grounded sheet. I didn't want to go and charge the sheet. But since you're not really using that as much, we can now, because she just, it's like the pocket ground. What should I use it for? Anyway, because you're not really doing that 7 days a week, but maybe what I'm trying to say, I have you now tethered to the wall. Now, I started tethering you to the wall, I want to say early last week. Now, can you kind of like figure out from coming home to, let's say, Monday, Tuesday of last week when you started to feel stimulation? Was it before or after that point?
Well, you know me and time. We're not very good friends. But it's been within, I'd say, the last week to week and a half that I'd come home from physical therapy and I'd go lay down because I'm in a lot of pain. And then next thing you know, I've got lightning shooting through my legs. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming that the nerve endings that are restimulating, because I actually have more feeling in the surgical site that I just had done 3 weeks ago than in some places on the one that I had done last year.
Right.
There are still dead places on that site, but I'm getting more feeling back in the right side now.
So that's what they
And
told me when I had the bicep done, was that if I let it go too long, 10, 11, 12 months, that the likelihood of the nerve endings coming back after that time was slim to none. So whatever I had to do, it had to be before that, like 9, 10 months point, which is what I've been trying to do with you this time here. So I want to see if I can get full stimulation. I'm just happy that they are firing off, because at least they're giving you they're showing you that they're trying to heal themselves. So the fact that we can get that done, here we are just about 3 weeks post-op, that's fantastic.
I took this with me to physical therapy last week, the
Did
pocket
you?
ground. I
Yeah.
did. So my physical therapist was kind of interested in it, but she's kind of interested in all of my work. This right here, I don't know if anybody remembers this from the website, was built
Yeah.
for her initially, and then of course I had to create one for you guys. My F,
Wow. The
because apparently I'm
FL.
a very fun patient.
Mhm. So anyway, you're using the pocket ground. What are you
Yes.
using it for at physical therapy?
Well, as I'm in between my exercises, because they don't let me, I'm only there for an hour, so they don't like really let me rest in between sets of different exercises.
Right.
They're trying to push me, because I'm expected to do them at home too, which I don't do as much as I should. But anyway, Mox Nix. So in between the sessions, the couple of seconds that they do give me, I'll just put the pocket ground on it. And actually, I am doing more now in physical therapy 2 weeks out than I was last year, 2 weeks out. I'm
Right.
already stronger. And I want to say that it's attributed to, my box and my pocket ground because I'm feeling more and I'm feeling better.
Let
And the
me ask you.
sheets help
Let
too.
me ask you a question about the PG.
Sure.
Do you recall what side of the PG you're using? I mean, are you using the block side
Oh,
or,
I'm
or
putting
the
the screw
or
side down.
what side? The screw side?
Screw side against my skin.
All right, so you're using the full carbon pad on the inside. That's
Yeah.
that's that's interesting. That's interesting. So it's helping you with what, inflammation or just pain in
Inflammation.
general, or
Well, the less inflammation I have, the less inflammation that I have, the less pain I have.
yeah, of course.
So trying to stay off the drugs as much as possible, and I've been using this instead to reduce the inflammation.
Well, that's what kind of like what TJ does too with his clients. They'll use the box, the other one that you have there with the pads, instead of as right as a form of pain management, instead of giving them that 50 gazillion weeks of oxy. Yeah, that's a good way to go.
Works for me.
Yeah, right. So what else you got going on there?
Well, I've been crocheting my little heart out.
Right. Yeah, I know.
Uh, Well, you had designed the filtering for me, when I was going hot and heavy into building my little dollies.
Right.
Just I was bored last year, so I just went off the chain, and you designed the little filters for me, which I
Yeah,
think,
that's right. Yeah.
yeah, there you go. And I just finished this little guy this morning. This is my Uncle Sam 250, for the upcoming holiday, and the
Okay.
filter that Alan showed you is inside, as well as like the F bomb that I showed you.
Uh,
I got filters in all of them, and it's a nice little whimsy, sit on the desk or in your bedroom or
right.
in your car, whatnot. And then it's already got the filtering, so it's not
Sure.
only cute and adorable, but it's functional as well.
Now this filter, right? I designed this. I don't know, about 2 years ago, and the idea was that you needed something compact, but I wanted to create something that was on par to like a Quantum Breeze, and so this is a 360 design. It actually filters all the way around, top and bottom, so forth. And she can take out a good 15 by 15 foot room, just one of these alone. And these are the type of designs where, I mean, you can't hold it like I can, but you hold it here, right? I can feel it vibrating all throughout the thing because she's absorbing nothing but straight electromagnetic from my microphone and so forth, as well as any radiation that's associated with it. And then she starts dumping the negative ions off. Um, so I mean, it's a cute design, and that's compact, that you could do like one of these dolls that are, I don't know, that anywhere from 6 to 10 inches in height, by 4 or 5 inches in width, and
Yeah,
so
well,
forth. You know,
I got my Pinky Go Lightly, I would
yeah,
say.
right. Which is great for the
But
child. I mean, these are 100% safe. I mean, you can use this in a child's nursery. I mean, you can put that Piggy Go Lightly right in the crib with the child. This is not going to harm the child whatsoever. It's going to create a protective, oxygenated bubble around the child, but it is certainly not going to harm the child. It's no different than putting a pocket ground in your pocket. It's the same, just same kind of concept, just a different container. So what kind of dollies you got there?
let's see. Well, I got several that I'm still sewing together. Um,
Now you
so
sell
this
these on the website for how much?
each one's 185, and that's including the filtering that's
That's a lot of
inside.
labor. Yeah, that's a lot of labor you put into those.
Well, it usually takes me anywhere between 2 and 3 weeks for me to crochet everything together. And
Right. Plus
like
the
I said,
filter.
I'll
Right.
crochet them together, or I'll crochet the pieces, put them together, and then just whenever I have nothing to
Right.
do, I'll spend another half hour to an hour to go ahead and install the filtering and then
I mean,
sew them together. This one
here's
here
here's
is
a
my little.
here's a throw out for you folks out there. Just think about this. You could pick up two of those for $185 a pop, right? And the two of them would take out a much larger area than a single Quantum Breeze would. just to give you an idea of what you can do with this.
And I'd made these for Christmas last year, and I thought they really turned out great. This is Santa and Mrs. Claus sold as a set.
Yeah, yeah,
I
they
think
are
I
really
put
cute.
$350 for both of them together.
Yeah, they are really cute.
Maybe 3 and a quarter. I don't remember. I'd have to look on the website. But I do take requests too. So if there's something that anybody is interested in me doing, I don't like to do the same things over and over again. I'll like Uncle Sam here. I will never build another one because I get bored with it. It's just boring
See,
to do this
you're like I am.
over.
I can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. I got to switch it up every so often.
Yeah.
No, it drives me
So
crazy.
if you have an idea of something that you would like to have built, I will do the design work, and not a problem for me. I enjoy the challenge.
Let me ask you the challenge thing here. Let me ask you a question. Um, as most of our folks know from listening to me over the years, they know that you are a retired veteran, okay, and
Oh
so
boy.
forth. It's okay. It's okay. Um, yeah, you've seen your share of shitholes around the world, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, yeah. So, do you remember after the first deployment? Not you in specific, just the community that we lived in. Um, this is back when W was still in office. Um, so you know anything about the military? They always say, "Well, we're helping people with mental health and with this, that, and that stuff." And one of the problems that we noticed is that the military doesn't actually hire psychologists because you have doctor-patient confidentiality. So they hire social workers that pose themselves as psychologists. That way, their notes are privy to everybody in your chain of command to read the next morning. And one of the things that they were doing back with W was in office is they were getting folks hooked on mood inhibitors.
Yeah, they tried
Right,
that shit.
right,
Didn't work out.
Ritalin and all type of stuff. And this is before they gave it to your children, by the way. And we saw a lot of really bad stuff that happened from it. So that, yeah, right. They tried that with Jenny, and I don't think I let it go a couple of weeks, and I yanked her off of it. And it took her another several months after I yanked her off to get that shit completely out of her system. But with that said, because you were not being chemically induced, you still had thoughts and nightmares and all this other fun stuff.
Let's just.
I'm sorry, you dropped out.
I said, let's just call it issues.
Issues, sure, we can call it that. What I'm trying to say though is this: I was doing an experiment when we were building this place, and this is basically when I created the prototype for what we call the EVO blocker. And a lot of people, they get confused when I use the word blocker because they think that I'm blocking something. I'm not. I'm grounding out fields and just sending it out to the house ground. We're just slowing the frequencies down of those fields so it's easily absorbed by the house ground without causing any additional DC offshoot. So anyway, I'm kind of trying to create this idea where it's a floating resonator that's able to absorb frequency, slow it down before it dumps it back. And I don't know if you remember yourself at the time, but I mean, it was one of those things where I could, in the other room, I could set my watch to it. You got up every half hour on the hour, if it was a bathroom run or a nightmare run or whatever it was, but it happened at least every half hour on the hour. And so anyway, I create this box, and in the bedroom that we were sleeping in at the time, it had two outlets flanking the bed. Now, just to give you a little bit of background of this place, the brick wall behind our bed was literally the brick wall of the outside of the house. There was no anything. And when you walked around the other side of the house, we had the AC units behind us, and the incoming wiring off the pole was slumped down. I don't know, 4 feet, 5 feet off the driveway. Would that sound about
It was
right?
right in the corner. It was right there in the
Right,
corner. You had
right,
to
and
duck.
I mean literally right there where the bed was, and we had no other wall to set the bed up on. So, um, I go ahead the first night and I take one of the EVO blockers and I test it out in the other room before I put it in the bedroom. Everything's playing out well. Next morning, I wait for her to get up. I go in there because I want it to be a blind test. And I plug it in on the side of her bed. Now, if you know anything about my wife, is that right now I have a beard. I could shave this beard off and be completely clean skinned, and it would take Jen about a week and a half before she said, "You shaved." Yes, I
Okay,
did. Thank you
like
very much. Because she just, those type of things she's oblivious to. So I knew if I plugged this thing in next to her bed, the likelihood of her noticing it there was in my favor. Okay. So I plug it in, and that night she goes to bed, and sure as shit, she doesn't get up once the entire evening. No half hour, nothing. Um, Gets up the next day, in a good mood because she slept all night long. Fantastic. And I ran this for 3 nights in a row. Every single night for those 3 nights, she slept all the way through. Next night, I yank it out just out of curiosity. Like clockwork, every half hour on the hour, she got up. I did it one more night, every half hour on the hour, she got up. Plugged it back in, plugged another one in on my side of the bed, and she never woke up again. And I just,
it's the original pig.
well, what I'm trying to say, Jenny, is that, what gets classified as or diagnosed as like PTSD is a chemical imbalance that is just like we would say with bipolar as well. It's an inflammation based chemical imbalance. So if you have X amount of inflammation, let's say right here, the brain excretes, okay, these kinds of enzymes out that cause these different problems. But if you can go at the root of the inflammation, which in most cases is electromagnetic, I don't think people really realize that. I would probably say 95 to 98% of all inflammation is electromagnetic somehow. And if you can go and root that out and either reduce or completely eliminate that inflammation, then you're able to cure people in the sense that what was clinical as night terrors or whatever can now be eliminated. Because we did that with other people. Okay, when we were first testing this out, we sent it out to your military buddies and so forth, and it was used as a pain reliever or used as a way to stop the nightmares, and it worked. Okay, and we did all that before we introduced it to the public. And I find still to this day with you, if I don't use something like that in the bedroom, that you still will get up for whatever
Yeah.
reason. I'm not saying that that there's something wrong with you. Okay, don't take it from that standpoint. Okay, what I'm trying to say is that the inflammation. You understand? These military folks get jabbed with everything under the sun, and they get jabbed with shit you never even heard of, or you haven't heard of it until 20 years later, and they're the guinea pigs for all these different drugs, and you have no idea. They don't think about, well, let's give so and so this shot, and then we'll wait a year. They don't do that. They take 15 shots and boom, 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 boom. Okay, and a lot of times they'll mix them together and just air gun it into your arm. So they don't think about things like that. Like one of the problems that I had is that when she was being deployed one time, she got an anthrax shot, and it leaked from the injection site, and we were just sleeping, and she got it onto the pillow, and somehow I got it on my hand, and I rubbed it in my eye, and I have partial blindness in my eyes. because of that. So you just don't know how somebody is going to react with that kind of stuff. So when they said, well, I'm experiencing all these different, which we knew were inflammation based issues, it made sense that we could go and figure out what is the stimulating trigger. And in most cases, inflammation is based off of radiated heat. Okay. So if you can reduce the heat or eliminate the heat, which is radiation, if you give it some place to go instead of, on you, then we can kind of neutralize the stuff. And the moment, like I said, the moment you plug the blocker into the wall, guess what? She sleeps through the night instead of the night before where she got up literally every half hour on the hour, and she woke up in the morning mean as a fucking snake because she got up every half hour on the hour.
Oh, come on. Mean as a fucking snake to begin with, anyway.
Yes, but I mean, think about it, Jen. Our entire marriage since the first deployment has been me trying to figure out how to make things
Better.
easier for you, better for you, more giving us, instead of allowing us to live with it, how do we just get fucking rid of it? And it's been a challenge to do a lot of that stuff, because you get rid of one thing and then somebody puts up cell tower and fucking something else happens. Or, like with the COVID shot, they gave you a shot. I mean, this is one of the problems that I have experienced. Not, well, me personally, forget about that, but people that could call us, is that since the COVID shot, their past illnesses are now magnified, and it's causing other issues for them as this life-altering DNA, nonsense was injected into our bodies, and then they had the balls to say, "Hey, why don't you come back every 6 to 12 months and get a booster shot?" Fuck you, you get a booster shot. You know what I mean? I mean, the biggest thing when it came to that stuff is when I had heard, and I didn't hear this off a conspiracy. A friend of mine's a congressional aide, and he fucking said, they're not, the Congress folks are not getting COVID shots; they're getting saline. I said, "Excuse me." Yeah, they're getting saline, and the ones that did get the COVID shots all got some kind of medical issues now. You know, I know Nancy Mace doesn't like to talk about it, but both her and her husband got scarring and stuff like that. They got medical problems. Her husband more than her. So I would prefer not to have to deal with a lot of that stuff. But since we went and got it done, I noticed, that we experience different things more than we ever have. I mean, look at me, right? I had the skin cancer just out of the fucking clear blue, just popped up a couple months after my first injection shot. I never had anything like that before. And I go and I talk to a doctor friend of mine year out, and he says, "Yeah, I got people left and right are coming in now with this that, so I said, well, how much is the spike? He said, I'm seeing a 30-40% spike. We didn't see that before 2020, so it's really wacky stuff. But anyway, getting back to the inflammation portion of the show is that because we have all these different things that have been injected into us, we are now more susceptible. And I find this too when it comes to radiation. We are more susceptible to anything that has a radiation signature for inflammation. It's well, let's. I don't want to talk about politics because Jen would agree with me with everything, but
maybe not.
Well, you look at things like no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. I piss a lot of people off. But anyway, the whole point is that we have been able to, once we remove the cranial inflammation, we have been able to solve a lot of different problems. Now, sometimes crazy is crazy, and I can't do anything about that. You do get that sometimes. There are people that are just hypochondriacs that are just phobic because they like being phobic. I'm not saying that they go out of their way to be phobic, but they have convinced themselves for whatever reason. And you cannot cure anything like that. But folks that have legitimate issues, we most certainly can. You know, it's just like getting back to the sheep for a second with Jenny, is that, you know, here we're getting electrical stimulation from the nerve endings at the second week post-op of surgery. Think about it. Last time you had surgery, and how long did it take you to get the nerve endings functioning? Was it immediate? Was it 6 months? Was it a year? We're 2 weeks outside of it. I mean, that's pretty cool. You know, so.
And my physical therapist is happy with me too, because I seem to be able to do a lot more at this stage of the game than I was after the last same stage.
That's good. That's really good. You know, and like I said, boys and girls, 2 of these dollies will take you out. And that's no bullshit. It'll take out what a Quantum Breeze would do in a room and then some. Okay, so you can get a good 20 by 25 foot room with 2 of the dollies, just properly place them in the room and so forth for $185 each.
Send me some ideas too on you know, what kind of dolls you would like to see created. I'm up to the challenge.
I'm up to the challenge.
Hey, I get bored doing the same things all the time.
You know, if you could do a Groundfather.
You know, I tried that trick before.
that was fucked up. that one was fucked up. I got to be honest with you.
Well, your mother loves it.
Oh, good for mom. See, that was fucked up. Oh, I got a pumpkin head. Pumpkin head. Not just an asshole anymore.
Hey, you remember that one time I gave you a haircut? You know, you were probably about 25 years old and you weren't white. Your hair wasn't all white.
I gave you a haircut. I remember the time you shaved my fucking head.
Berg.
One time she shaved my fucking head. I mean, shaved my fucking head.
Blame on.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, as you know, I'm pasty. So when the hair starts, my hair was red. And when the hair starts to grow back in, I looked like a fucking matchstick. Remember the little wooden matchsticks? That was me for like 6 months. Thank you. That's the love of my life there. Unbelievable. What I wouldn't do to smother her in her sleep. Pull the plug. So that's my wife. I don't care. He broke his finger. Pull a plug. Oh, yeah. No more.
The bee sting.
Oh my God, the bee sting. Last week,
I think, right?
Last week, and she has me throw something out in the garbage. So I'm coming back into the house, and it's a little bee. It must have been like a liberal bee or something. He was an Antifa bee. I don't know what the fuck he was, but he just comes up to me and says, "Hey," boom! He stings me for no reason at all. I'm walking in the fucking door. You little bastard. So I don't know if you know anything about me and bees, but when the bee stings me, I look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. My whole head goes, my tongue goes, and I have a cow's tongue. The thing is, though, I can't fucking breathe. It goes right in from my throat into my lungs. So I get stung, and, the egg on my arm goes just like this. And I'm getting shooting pains all over the freaking place. My head starts to swell. And I say to my wife, go get me my EpiPen. And what does she say to me? We don't have an EpiPen. Where's my EpiPen at? I threw it out.
It was expired.
It was expired. When'd you throw it out, hon? Oh, a couple years ago. Didn't tell me any time between now and then to go get a new one? No. So I have no epinephrine. Okay, no problem. No problem. If I'm going to die, let me go out on my own terms. It wasn't a bee sting. That was the own terms. But, if I had the strength, I would have took her with me. But anyway, so I go and I'm trying to figure out what the fuck. Because the last thing that you want to do, not that with the arm issue, but with the breathing issue, because I have COPD on top of things, is you don't want to panic. So I'm trying to figure out what the fuck can I do. So I go and I grab the pocket ground. For the love of Christ, let's hope to God that this really does help. I put it on the egg, and the egg starts to reduce itself. Again, carbon side, which is a screw side down, and it starts to reduce itself. But it isn't doing anything for the rest of what's going on for me. So I
Throw
go and
your ass,
I what?
throw your ass in bed.
Yeah, well, before I threw my ass in bed, I started with I took a Benadryl and I took a couple of my allergy pills just to get some histamine, stimulation in my body, and then I threw my ass in bed. Now, of course, the Benadryl knocked my ass out for a few hours, but within 4 hours, what would normally have been a rush to the hospital in a life and death situation, I laid on the sheet for 4 hours and I came out of it. I was still slightly, for a few hours, but the fact that I was able to deal with a bee sting, which the previous time threw me in the hospital, um, and to be able to do that with the sheet and a pocket ground, it's fantastic. Now, if I hadn't take the allergy meds, who knows if I'd still be sitting here, because that's the other problem I had. This one here's going to me. I'll drive you to the hospital, and I said, the fucking hospital's 45 minutes up the road. We don't have anything local here, and it's on a weekend, no less. So she just had the surgery on the right knee. Do you think she can drive? No. So I'm going to die one way, shape, or form. So I figured, what the hell? I got nothing better to lose. Let's just give this a shot. And it worked, So it's not just, it's just not, it's just not for other things. I mean, you're able to use it for things you wouldn't think that you could use it for. I remember when we were doing the silver pocket grounds, and I used to go and tell the moms all the time, don't let little Johnny try to pull some bullshit in the morning. Not go, Mommy, I got the sore throat. Just put your pocket ground there. In a couple minutes, the sore throat is gone. And you can do that with this filter too, ladies and gentlemen. Just put it right here, and no more pain. It literally, an instantaneous touch, gets rid of the inflammation. But I used to tell the moms, don't let little Johnny pull any bullshit with you because his ass is going to fucking school. Okay, you just put the pocket crown there, and he's got no more sore throat. You know,
That takes a
if
few minutes. It's not like
no,
that.
the silver one, we could do it in 30 seconds or less. Um, this one here, this is roughly around the same amount of time, 30, 35 seconds to a minute. Um, you can, depending on how bad the sore throat is. I mean, if it's like really, really bad, like laryngitis pain and all that type of stuff, it might take 2 or 3 minutes. But no, we can do it pretty quick. Where the fucking doctor can't do it that freaking quick. You know what I mean? And the nice thing about it is that once we get rid of the inflammation, it doesn't come back. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind when you're looking at this type of stuff. Um, I remember when we were doing the stuff with Sullivan, and we were doing the school, and the school was investing a lot of money in Wi-Fi because they wanted all the children to have tablets in the classroom. Well, this is an ADHD class, so you're already dealing with little Johnny, who's got ants in her pants to begin with, along with other types of situations that are locked into the same special needs classroom. And the teacher's got one of these things right over her head, and she wasn't the only teacher that we dealt with too during this time frame. Um, I had to go and make her like a little conductive box, kind of like a breeze, where she would keep it in her desk drawer, pull out, pop her hand on top of it, because the Wi-Fi was like right to her, right? So you got to think you're one big gigantic conductive conduit for this type of stuff, and she had a every so often had to drain off, or she would go and have these spells in the classroom from the Wi-Fi. Literally, I mean, being 6 feet over top of her head. Do you remember the LA teachers issue? out there when they first converted over to schools. They were putting all the teachers on workman's comp, and what was happening was is the teachers are coming up against their end of date there before they had to go back to work. And I had this one teacher in particular where she had all this different stuff going on, and she goes and she hires herself a building biologist electrician or EMF electrician. I forget what the fuck she called them. And so he's milking her, for a lot of money, and obviously insurance doesn't pick up any of this kind of stuff. So he's milking her for what she's bringing in, and he's not getting anything accomplished. So she gets a hold of us. We start working, and I'm dissecting this over the telephone for her, and I think we just got her a wrap. Do you remember the story here?
Vaguely, I think you put a wrap on her.
Yeah, right. And just the wrap alone was
or something like that.
Right. The wrap alone basically nullified most of the noise inside of the house where she was feeling great around the house. So she has the electrician over one day, and she calls me up on the phone, and she gets, after multiple different trips of him hitting her for $500 a visit, she gets him to admit that the rap and all this other stuff was working really well and all this other stuff. So while he's admitting it to her, she's dialing the phone to me. So she gets me on the phone. She says, "Alan, yes, so and so wants to talk to you," and she puts this guy on, and and you can tell that he's I'm just calling because I just want to admit that the thing is working, and I understand you did this for $350, even though I milked her for about $18,000. Blah blah, and it goes on and on and on and on. And
he was a little bit upset.
He was a little upset that he couldn't milk her for another 18 grand. Yeah. So be careful, boys and girls. They're everywhere. But just something as simple as the wrap, and then I think we installed a few of the blockers in the house, and I think that knocked the whole fucking thing out for her.
Yeah, I think she got a cube for her car too.
Right. And then when she went back to the classroom, we just installed a box in the classroom that she just put on her desk, and a couple of the blockers around the room, like 2 or 3 of them because of the size of the classroom. And that was it. It just knocked all the Wi-Fi. Like I said, you're not worried about the frequency from the Wi-Fi because the frequency itself is so small. It's the electricity to get this frequency to lengthen itself from point to point. So you have to be able to address the radiation that comes off of that electrical field, and at the same time redirect that electrical field. So that's what a couple blockers and a tri-wave or whatever it was at the time will do for you in that type of environment. And from that moment on, she was able to go back to work. There was no issues with anything. And I'll be honest with you, I do hear from her from time to time, but here we are like 8 or 9 years later, and she's still doing fantastic. From a wrap and a couple blockers, less than $1,000 to do the house and the fucking classroom, and versus 18,000, and he wanted to go milk her for more. So be careful. And another lady one time, maybe you might remember this, Jen. She didn't want to spend any money with us because they milked her out on the doctors and all that stuff, autistic household, and she hires this electrician from outside the state because he was a quote unquote EMF electrician, and he comes and he takes her breaker panel and strips it. Do you remember this? He fucking takes the housing off, and he ungrounds the entire friggin' house because he wants to create a Y out to the thing. And it was so bad after he walks out, she can't even walk into the house, and she didn't have any problems. It was just the child, and the child was crazy over it, and she's calling him up. He don't want to fucking come back, and he just left this mess to her. So here she pays this guy $5 or $6 or $7,000 to do all of this shit. I forget the exact dollar amount. And for anybody else to come back in and fix it is another $7,000 or $8,000. I mean, he dismantled everything. And just because he sold himself to you and to me as the EMF electrician. And I'm bringing this up because this is no different than what we saw with the other lady who, again, milked out by doctors. We sell her two blockers. She plugs it into the wall, and the child gravitates over to the filter. You remember that one? And she calls me up, and she's crying on the phone and all that type of stuff because she was very religious. And to her, it was literally a miracle from God, because we're dealing with a child who is nonverbal, and because she's nonverbal, she's frustrated because she can't get her point across to you as the parent. So you're dealing with a lot of frustration and violence outbursts and stuff. So here the child now gravitates over to the filter, and she's happy-go-lucky and so forth and so on. So again, multiple doctors. There's no cure. There's no this. There's no that. Two filters, plugged into the wall, just enough to create. I mean, I could have done more in the house, but they just didn't have the means to do so. But we gave them this bubble space that to this day they still use.
Now I've hooked myself up, and I've got the pocket ground because I'm with my leg hanging down. I'm starting to get into a little bit of pain.
You start to swell.
So I'm using both right now.
Right.
See?
But they work though.
Yeah. Because otherwise I would have had you stop about 20 minutes ago. So.
Yeah, I got it. But the reason why I'm telling these stories, Jay, is because it's no different than getting up every 30 minutes, hour on the hour, right? Different triggers that cause different problems, different situations, same solution. Just ground out the radiation in the field. I was
get a good. I'm a happy camper, and you're a happy camper.
Yeah. Like when I was pitching this idea to Risa, right? I said to her, Risa's a building biologist that works with us on the West Coast, and I said to her, listen, there's a lot of applications out there for Wi-Fi where they have heat signature maps on them, and they're not free apps, but for a few bucks, especially in a trade like she's in, where it's a write off for it. Go and get one of these apps, and what you can do is you look at it, and where you have the brightest of color, if it's yellow or it's green or whatever, that's where you want to plug the blocker in at, and you'll notice that on your map that heat signature will vanish because we grounded it out. And she has problems as well, and we plugged 10 blockers into her house, which basically solved. I'm not going to say 100% of it. We got a good 75. Let's say 75% out. She still has a couple different things that we have to address, but again, just a simple concept of knowing where to place them using like a tool like that kind of application, and plugging them in and knocking everything out. The whole idea is that you create this wireless radio-free zone in your home, right? Which is, no different than what with Clean Room that we did with Sullivan. It was, just inside of a constructed tent. But here you go, and you absorb any energy. Now, what people don't realize with the blocker is that when I'm plugging it into the wall next to the bed in my bedroom with Jen, is that the blocker not only works the room that you're in, but it also works outside. So it's got like a good 15, like if you center the blocker, you have a 15-foot field that you can work with. And it doesn't care. That's the difference between radio frequency and radiation. Is radiation's heat, it can pass through any surface. Radio frequency can't. It will bounce along the surface until it finds an opening. So you can now go ahead and, if you plug them in on the exterior walls to your house, filter and ground out inside the room, which is fantastic. But you also start grounding out on the outside of the wall. So the whole idea is that within this 15 foot, the signal comes in, it weakens and weakens and weakens and weakens through that 15 feet. So if you are sleeping, a couple feet away from it, you now get either a reduced field or a zeroed out field. So think about the planning stages of how to go and install this kind of stuff. I wanted to have Phil on to do the blocker episode, because when I first started with him, he has a loft and we filtered his loft, but we filtered his loft for specific things, LED lighting and all this other type of stuff, and then he started to travel on me, so I started creating these for overseas travel, and he would plug them in around
travel.
What?
So the blockers are good for travel for anybody.
Right.
Portable. You just plug it into the hotel room.
Right.
And
so the last time he was going, I said, you can take the blocker, and I said, the charging outlet, beneath your seat on a plane. He says, yeah. I said, plug it in. And again, they always think you're crazy, but he goes and he does it. And he sends me a little text. He says, that is the best flight I have been on in my entire life. He said, I felt more grounded sitting there than I have with all this other, And I said, well, you're in close proximity to the field. I mean, when we said to go and do it on a plane, Dave and I were actually at a conference. And as part of the conference, there was a guy 60, 70 feet down the other way that had a Tesla coil, and he was basically saying, if you use a Tesla coil, and you flood the room with this EM cold spark, you can get rid of all this different EMFs. I don't know what the fuck he was really selling it for, but eventually he made his way into the EMF market. And so what you have is that you're in a room with a whole bunch of people who are electromagnetic sensitive, okay? Because even though you're at an autistic convention, you get an array of types of folks that are there. And the EMF crowd is a big one. And so he's just flooding the whole room. And I mean, he's pumping up the wattage too, because he wants to have the best demo, right? So he's flooding the fucking room with EM. And we could feel it, at the other end of the hallway there. And all these people are coming up to this migraine city, and because you don't realize that there's electromagnetic, and then there is amplified electromagnetic. And when you amplify it, what it does is it raises your blood pressure to a ridiculous fucking level. And the first thing that you get a sensation of is a migraine headache. The second thing that you get is you feels like your fucking eyeballs are going to explode from your skull. And then the third thing is that you will actually get queasy to your stomach, or I've seen people pass out and so forth. And everybody's coming up to us going, Alan, do you have something? Do you have something? About 15 minutes before he started his demo, Dave and I were starting to feel it down the other end. So, I always have a power strip with me for charging Dave's phone or my phone or whatever. So we just take a couple blockers and we plug them into the power strip, which is pointing them upwards, right? Because they are somewhat directional back then. And instead of creating this big 15-foot bubble, we create a nice 6-foot bubble by doing this. It's called focus filtration. And so Dave and I are sitting in the middle of the bubble. Our headaches are completely gone. Everybody is coming down. Oh my God. Oh my God. So some people would, spark up a conversation with us. So I invite them around, to my chair and let them sit down in the chair. And within a minute or 2 or 5, their headache is completely gone. And they said, how the hell did you do this? Well, him down there, big bad, big EM Juju bad guy, and we are just grounding the shit out of the field. It's just that simple, We were getting the benefit from it. The guys that were on the backside of us were getting the benefit from it. But big bad Juju bad Juju bad. Eventually, they made him stop doing it. But the funny thing about that is that, and it's not funny. It's but whenever we used to do these, we'd always have we'd have a resident building biologist. That was Alex, and then Alex would go and hire a local for whatever area. We were in Chicago, someone from Chicago, whatever. And so this girl's from Colorado, and the day before the event happened, we were still working with the hotel to get certain things shut off and so forth. And she comes in, and here's my table. There's a table across from me where she's supposed to be sitting, and I see her lay her purse down on the table, and she vanishes. So I didn't take nothing of it. We set up, and I have the rest of the day off, so we're going out and so forth, Dave and I, and we get back a few hours later, and her purse is still sitting on the table, nowhere to be found. I said, "Where's she at?" I didn't even get a chance to meet her. Besides, "Hi, how you doing?" And for 3 days, I mean, we had to put the purse in the safe at the hotel because she never came back. So the morning that we're pulling out of there, which is Sunday morning, she shows up. She calls Alex first to say, "I'm coming in. Please get all my things out of the safe." So he does, and it's sitting there on her table, and she runs in from outside. I mean, runs like bolts, grabs her stuff, and runs back out. So I said to Scott, and I said, "What the fuck? What's that all about?" He said, "She's electrosensitive." But there's nothing going on anymore. We got rid of Tesla Boy. They have the Wi-Fi on again. She can't even handle that, And I said, "Oh shit! Can you imagine? She's the perfect candidate, for a pocket ground, But I never got a chance to talk to her about the pocket ground, which is one of the reasons why he invited her specifically. He wanted to talk to me, and I never got to have a conversation with her because she was there 1 minute, gone the next. Be thankful, Jay, that you're not like that. Considering all the electronics I have in this house, be thankful you're not like that. I don't know where she's at. She may be gone. No, she moved. I saw her. I saw her move. Are you done? You can't handle this no more?
I'm sorry. I'm hurting.
Okay. All right, boys and girls. So we're going to call it because she's hurting. We did tell some stories, and for $185, those are great things. Don't think for a second because of what it is. It doesn't do what I say it does, because when have I ever gave you a line of bullshit about what you can expect from our stuff? This here, I know it don't look like a whole lot, all right, but it's not the size that matters. It's how conductive I make the internals, and this is an 8-layer design plus the conductive ceramic, and I don't even put 8-layer designs in QBs or anything like that. So this really packs a punch. So it's something to really consider. And she's got multiple different things besides the F-bomb to choose from. She's got little figurines and all this kind of stuff and stuff for the kids.
We've got it up.
And don't listen, Uncle Sam 250. I mean, depending on what part of the political spectrum you fall on, we can even put I could put a little jar of algae from my fish tank in there, and we can send that out to you just in case you want to put some algae out. Thing, no charge. So just let us know, Democrat or Republican. We'll take care of it. Okay, so sorry, I had to throw that in. I've been holding that joke in for a bit, but that's okay.
Don't forget to send some ideas too.
Yeah, send some ideas. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to us again. Hopefully this was a lot of fun for you guys. It certainly was for us. And that's it. So bye bye. Say bye bye, Jen. There you go.
Bye.
Adios.